Hi, gang. It's Patrick.
And Adam.
Coming up on today's show, we discuss our encounters with Disney cast members going above and beyond the magic. We chat about news and rumors, and we interview our friend and former Disney College Program cast member, Janice, who gives us a backstage look at working for a Disney park. As always, we'll close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi, Patrick.
Hello, Adam.
How are you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
I am great, thank you. I am actually in Disneyland as we speak.
What do you mean?
I'm here, but I'm there.
Oh, my goodness. You're Ghost Adam right now?
That's right. I'm Gadam.
Oh. I like that. I like that. The Great Gadam.
No, of course, we're recording this a little bit early, and so when this episode drops, I will actually be in the House of Mouse out in California.
I'm so excited for you. It's going to be your first trip to Disneyland.
I can't wait. I am going to be posting pictures like mad on Instagram, so please follow us.
Yes.
And you can find us at GDTD Podcast on Instagram.
Along those lines, I just got my magic bands in the mail for my Walt Disney World trip coming up.
I love these kind of milestones.
It's so exciting. It makes the magic start a month before you're even there. It's so fantastic.
Now, the big question, of course, is what colors did you choose?
Good question. I chose red for the first time. I usually don't choose red.
Saucy bold.
Well, I'm going to try to Disney bound as Mickey for the Run Disney Wine and Dine run. So I chose red just to sort of blend in the Mickey. And our good friend Anna. Hello, Anna.
Hi, Anna.
She chose purple, which is a classic color. Anna looks great in purple, so she chose her signature color.
I can't wait to see pictures of you two just running your little hearts out.
And sweating.
So attractive.
Yeah, we look good in sweat.
And Anna will actually be part of your trip recap when you guys get back.
That's right, so tune in a couple of weeks to hear our Run Disney recap. Speaking of guests, I'm super excited about this episode, Adam. We have our very first guest appearing.
We do. Our mutual friend, Janice, who is a former Disney College Program cast member.
She's going to talk to us all about her experiences in the parks while she worked there. But before we get into that, I have a quick announcement for everybody. A magical moment, if you will.
Oh, I like that.
You know our good friend, Callie from Facebook, first, middle, and last name?
Oh, that's right. That's right. She won the contest last week.
She sure did. I reached out to her, and she was sure to remind me that she is getting married in a week, I think, after this drops, on the 27th, I want to say.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. So she and her fantastic fiance, Cody, are getting married, I believe, on the 27th. I apologize if that's wrong, but congratulations, Callie and Cody from Facebook.
Congratulations to you.
You and your From Facebook family, I'm sure, will have an amazing life together.
Did you happen to find out if they're doing any Disney-themed things for their wedding?
Rumor has it that they are going to try to plan their honeymoon to Shanghai Disney.
Wow.
I know. Color me jealous.
Can you imagine?
I actually can't imagine it, but it must be so exciting. Of course, getting married is the most magical experience, but I have to imagine that planning that honeymoon is going to be such a great time together.
Well, again, we truly wish Callie and Cody the very best, and we are so excited for them to begin their lives together.
That's right. And if you out there listening in have a magical moment you'd want to share with us, please reach out to us. We'd love to announce your magical moment on the podcast. You can email us at info@gaysdothed.com.
Or you can reach out to us on social media at GDTD Podcast. You know, Patrick.
Yes?
Since we have Janice on the show today to talk about her experience working at Walt Disney World, it got me a-thinking.
Yeah.
It got me a-thinking about how cast members can truly make your vacation a very magical experience.
Sure.
And I was wondering if you had any very magical experiences presented to you by a cast member.
I'll tell you what, I actually have quite a handful of them. It's kind of hard to choose from. One of the things that keeps me going back to the parks is those experiences with the cast members members that work there. They really make your vacation so much brighter than if you were going to anywhere else. They really add that extra oomph that makes it all worthwhile. So I guess the most prevalent one that happened to me and my husband Dan, we were celebrating our 1-year anniversary in the parks. I think we talked about this in a previous episode. We were walking around Magic Kingdom. We were wearing those I'm celebrating buttons. So we had we're celebrating 1 year is what they said.
Oh,
Super cute, which in and of itself was kind of a magical moment that the cast member who gave us those buttons wrote out one ear.
I don't get it.
Oh, it means 1 year.
Nope, not landing with me.
Okay, moving on.
Yep.
So we were going, as we do, into the gift shops. We went to, it was specifically the Big Top Souvenirs in the Storybook Circus, and we made our way to the bakery, and we were just watching those, I'm going to call them artists, making the treats live and putting them on the display shelves and just having a good time watching them. And all of a sudden, one of the cast members started making these really beautiful, out of marshmallow, these roses. She dipped them in chocolate, and they look like the roses from Beauty and the Beast. And then she takes 2 of them and hands them to me and Dan and says, "Congratulations on your wedding anniversary. Please have these on me." And we both teared up a little bit and thanked her so much. And they were delicious beyond belief. In fact, they made it to my Fab 5 treats list, my sweet treats list, those marshmallow treats.
They certainly did. And were they on that list because they were delicious, or was part of it because it was such a magical memory for you?
Well, to quote from Aladdin, have some of column A, try all of column B. It was a little bit of both, right? They were very delicious, but that moment really sealed itself in my memory and just made that treat so delicious in my mouth and in my mind.
What an incredibly thoughtful thing for her to do, and just such an easy way to plus that moment for you.
In fact, I remember her name was Erica. Erica works in Big Top Souvenirs. Thank you so much, Erica, for that moment. You really made our day. So that's just one example of many that I've had in the parks. Is there one that stands out for you?
As a starting off point, as a blanket statement, I just want to say that there's kind of a knowing look you give to other gay cast members. Have you noticed this when you're walking around the parks?
Yeah.
Or they'll kind of call you out or give you an acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Like they'll be like, "Hey, boys," or like, there's kind of like that wink, wink, like you're one of us kind of feeling. So
You're in the family.
Yeah, I love those kind of just experiences walking around the parks to begin with.
Sure.
But the first time I went back, after many, many years of not going to Disney World, I was with our friends Paul and Bart and Rick.
I love them.
And we were going to Epcot one morning, and we were very first in line at the turnstiles.
Wow.
Waiting to get in. There was a huge crowd behind us. There was a woman working the gate. Her name was Wanda.
Oh.
This very exuberant Latina woman, incredibly excited to be there. She spotted us from a mile away and started singing, "We are family." Like she was like totally acknowledging the fact there were 4 gay dudes just chomping at the bit waiting to get into Epcot.
I love it.
She ended up giving us buttons and was just joking with us and laughing and we were having a great time with her. So much so that when we went back 2 years later, we were, of course, searching for Wanda.
Oh.
And we purposefully went to the front gate and walked up to her.
You found her.
We found Wanda.
Oh, wow.
She was still working there. She was actually sitting in a chair at the time because she had just had knee surgery.
Oh, my gosh.
But she was working the turnstile still, getting people through the gate. We walked up to her and said, "Excuse us, Wanda, we were actually here 2 years ago." And she was like, "Oh, of course." Who knows if she was being serious or not?
Nope, she remembered.
She completely recognized us.
That's beautiful.
So much so that she was like, "I need a picture." She took a picture with the 4 of us.
Wow.
And then gave me her phone number. It's still in my phone.
Oh my gosh, I'm tearing up a little bit thinking about this.
She said, "I need you to text me that picture." And so I did. And she wrote back and said, "It was so wonderful to see you all again. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to chat with you again." And so every time we go back now, we're like, we have to find Wanda and we have to get another picture with her.
That is so great. I love that. I love that Disney sort of instills this mantra, right, in their cast members that every day is a magical day for someone in the parks, right? It could be someone's first day in the parks. It could be their 13th time that week. You never know from park hopping, but every moment needs to be magical, and they really understand that, and they really embrace that.
That's really true. So we should say thank you to all the cast members who work at the parks because you do such an incredible job of making us all feel so welcome and making us feel like we're part of a family.
That's right. And let's be honest, we all know that Orlando is hot, 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 and it cannot be comfortable wearing those delightful costumes that you do wear. So I appreciate the smile that you always have on your face. It really helps us have a great day as well. And speaking of thank yous, there are some actually great ways that you can thank these cast members that they appreciate and actually helps them in the long run. One, as we both did, remember their name. If you are having a magical moment with them, take a moment and look at their name tag and remember their name. That's going to help you with these other steps going forward. So if you go to guest relations and let them know, they will make sure they actually do. They write down the moment. If you just tell them like the cast member's name, where the experience happened and what they did for you, they write it down and they make sure to recognize those cast members at the end of their shift.
I love that.
It's really great. You can also, if you don't have the time to wait in line at guest relations, because those lines can be long, email www.guest.communications@disneyworld.com, and I imagine it's probably disneyland.com if you're in Disneyland, and that will do the very same thing as though you went to guest relations. And here's the most popular way to do it. If you tweet at WDW today and use the hashtag cast compliment and use those keywords like use their name, use the experience, use the location, oftentimes Disney will take a picture of that cast member reading the compliment and tweet it back to you. So they give you another magical moment there. It's pretty great.
I have done that on several occasions, and it's so gratifying when they respond back to you just to know that they either passed the compliment on to the cast member or you actually get to see the cast member with the compliment.
It's true. And sometimes you think, oh, that's not really going anywhere. It actually does. In fact, if you look at those name tags, if you ever see the inverse colors on the name tag, so usually the name tags are white with, I believe, a blue trim. If you see one with blue that has a white trim, it means that that cast member has been specially recognized by Disney as going above and beyond in their job duties, and they are sort of an elevated cast member. A specific example of that would be Jim, the piano player, or one of the piano players at Casey's Corner, is one of those cast members with the blue name tag because he has been specially recognized and honored by Disney as going above and beyond his job duties.
He certainly has. He's been there for 30 plus years.
Yeah, he's fantastic. So really take a moment out of your time to really recognize those cast members who are giving you an exceptional day.
Hey, Patrick, let's talk about some news and rumors.
So Disney has gotten some exceptional recognition lately. For the 7th year in a row, the Disney Cruise Line has been ranked #1 for Best Large Ships in the annual Condé Nast Reader's Choice Awards.
I'm sorry, you said ships?
Ships.
Oh, okay.
Large ships.
We're going to have to edit that out.
Yeah, it depends on what you eat, I suppose. But
Sure.
This specifically is about the ships.
Mm-hmm.
The Disney Dream and the Disney Fantasy are both in their fleet of large ships, which means 2,500 to 4,000 passengers. So this ranks them ahead of both Princess Cruises and the Royal Caribbean.
I want to go on a Disney cruise real bad.
You know, I love cruising, but I've never been on a cruise.
Naughty.
Uh-oh. Additionally, this year, Disney's Aulani Resort in Hawaii was awarded the Tourism Legacy Award by the Hawaiian Tourism Authority. So this award honors organizations and businesses that perpetuate Hawaiian culture. This year, the honorees were identified for helping to normalize Hawaiian language into everyday life.
It's great that Disney is embracing the culture of the island and really applying it to the resort's entertainment and educational opportunities.
That's right. In fact, their goal of this resort was to really highlight the Hawaiian culture, and so Disney itself took a little bit of a back seat, where usually you see Disney sort of heavily merchandised throughout the resorts. This is more about the Hawaiian culture than it is about Disney itself. Aulani Resort's general manager is quoted as saying, "At Aulani Resort, Hawaiian language proficiency is a valued professional skill, and conversations in Olelo, Hawaii are a commonly daily occurrence." And Olelo, Hawaii means Hawaiian language in Hawaiian.
That's really, really beautiful.
It is, and just another great example of how Disney really loves to embrace the cultures that they're projecting.
So when are we going to go?
Right now.
The newly reimagined Old Port Royale section of Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort has opened.
It's about time. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I feel like that resort has been in construction forever.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels like a bit of a relief. I've never stayed there, and I've never actually even visited that resort, but just having seen the pictures and having heard about people's experiences dealing with that construction, it's like, Oh, finally.
Yeah, I think they've had a lot of problems with guest complaints about that resort for a while now since they've been under construction because it's been so long and the construction has been so loud that a lot of people have had to move to different resorts. So it's exciting that they're finally opening up.
The new Port Royale section features a new lobby with beautiful floor-to-ceiling drapes and lounge-style seating areas. Have you seen the picture that they released?
I haven't yet, actually.
It is very, very beautiful.
Yeah.
In fact, I have an itch now. I think I do need to stay there and experience that. Maybe not yet. I know there's still some construction going on, especially with a Skyliner around that area.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, it looks so relaxing and very breezy and Caribbean-like.
Yeah, Dan and I almost stayed there for our anniversary trip, but we opted not to because of all that construction.
The newly opened section of the resort also features Calypso Trading Post, which is where you can buy supplies and souvenirs. It also features 3 new dining options. Sebastian's Bistro, which is Caribbean-inspired table service, and it features Latin and Caribbean flavors. It has waterfront views, and highlights from the menu include skirt steak chimichurri, sautéed shrimp and tamales, and a crispy avocado and bacon burger.
That sounds delicious.
So Sebastian's Bistro is serving seafood. Talk about having your friends over for dinner. Old Port Royale also features Centertown Market, which is fast casual indoor dining. It includes family-friendly fare and made-to-order bowls, similar, I imagine, to what's served in Pandora at Satuli Canteen.
Oh, sure, those are delicious. So if there's anything like that, I'm on board.
These bowls feature Latin and Caribbean-inspired flavors and allow you to choose a base protein and a sauce to create your own favorite dish.
Sounds delicious.
And last but not least, Banana Cabana.
That's what they called me in college.
Banana Cabana is Old Port Royale's festive poolside bar. And they have exclusive cocktails and non-alcoholic specialty drinks. But why would you with the non-alcoholic drinks?
Don't even go there.
Not a Banana Cabana.
No, you're going to need a lot of drinks there. I've got some exciting and a little bit of sad news. It's a real roller coaster. So the Tomorrowland Speedway in Walt Disney World will be closing in early January temporarily for several months. It's possible the track will also be reconfigured during this closure to accommodate the new Tron roller coaster that's going into Tomorrowland.
As it should be. It should be.
I can't wait for that ride. It's so exciting. So it hasn't been confirmed if it will, in fact, undergo a relaying of the track, but it will for sure close down while they construct the new Tron attraction. Also affected during this construction will be the Walt Disney World Railroad. The train will temporarily halt its tours around the Magic Kingdom starting in December of 2018. This could also last for several months, but we're not really sure how long that will be in effect. The train will reside on the tracks in the Main Street station during the construction, which will give guests time to take up-close photos with the train. There's still no set date for the Tron attraction to open, but the goal is to have it up and running prior to the 50th anniversary in 2021.
You know, I know that Tomorrowland Speedway is a very popular attraction, especially with little kids and families.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see how this is going to go over because that's such a people eater, particularly the line for it is such a people eater.
Mm-hmm.
And losing that major attraction in Tomorrowland is going to be a loss.
Yeah, I wonder where they're all going to go.
But at the same time, Tron, we need it.
It's so exciting. Do you know what I call the Tomorrowland Speedway?
Do tell.
Let's smell gasoline.
Speaking of closures, Patrick,
Yes?
Peter Pan's flight in Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom will be closing for refurbishment.
I just heard some tables flipping.
The attraction will close January 7th, 2019, and is expected to reopen February 2nd, 2019, so about a month.
So that's not very long, so it sounds like they may be just doing some maintenance and some cleaning rather than like a full refurbishment.
That's right, but again, another major attraction that'll be down for a month, along with the Tomorrowland Speedway. That's 2 big losses at one time. In addition, Tom Sawyer Island has closed for refurbishment in the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World.
I have never been there, I'm sorry to tell you.
Either have I.
Oh, no.
I think this is true of a lot of Disney World guests.
It's one of those places where you're like, yeah, let's try to get there if we can, but it's not on the top of my list.
It seems charming.
You know, here's the thing. When I think of Disney, I don't automatically think Tom Sawyer.
Right.
I often see people napping on the benches there, so it seems like a nice quiet place to go.
It's for Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah, do some knitting there.
But there's also a fort there, isn't there?
I've never been, so I don't know.
I think there's a fort that kids can like run around on and play.
Oh,
I'm sure
okay.
plenty of adults love it too, and here we are mocking it. That's terrible of us.
That's fair. You know, a fun fact about that island, again, this is just hearsay, but they used to have hidden paintbrushes throughout the island that if you found one, you could get a free fast pass for the day. They've since closed that down, but it sounded like a really fun activity.
The island is currently closed and is scheduled to reopen by mid-December. I feel like I'm the bearer of bad news today.
Uh-oh.
I mean, to be fair, you started it off with Tomorrowland Speedway, so you're to blame.
My bad.
Yet another closure we're going to be talking about is Jedi Training Trials of the Temple, which is closing in Disneyland.
Oh, no. I love that show, actually.
The Tomorrowland attraction opened in 2006 and is scheduled to close on November 3rd.
Wow.
The expectation is that it will return in some form in either Star Wars Galaxy's Edge or somewhere else in the park.
Interesting. Now, it is staying open in Walt Disney World, however. Is that correct?
It is. I mean, it is? Question mark?
At least there's been no word of it closing.
There's no official word of it closing. Disneyland has acknowledged the fact that Jedi Training Trials of the Temple is officially closing in Disneyland. We don't have official word for Walt Disney World, but there's been so many rumors swirling.
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem odd that we have Galaxy's Edge opening in both parks, and yet one training temple is remaining open.
That's fair. Oh, however, Disneyland is a lot smaller than Disney World property, so I suppose they don't have the footprint that Disney World has to keep two sections open for Disney property.
And now that I think about it, is Jedi training valid anymore with the new movies? I mean, we saw in The Last Jedi that the Force was kind of awakened in all these people who didn't realize that they had it, and they were kind of using it on their own accord. Am I nerding out too much right now?
You're going really deep down that rabbit hole, but I appreciate you.
We're going to have a whole Star Wars episode at some point and just like get some Cool Ranch Doritos and really hash this out.
Get some blue milk.
Luke, drink your blue milk. But I was going to go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
Moving on from things that are closing, let's talk about something that's new.
Can we please? Let's have an upper.
I love uppers. For a limited time, Trader Sam's Grog Grotto in the Polynesian Resort at Walt Disney World will offer a new collectible mug featuring the Hatbox Ghost. You can get this mug for around $30, filled with either the Grim Grinning Grog or the non-alcoholic Foolish Mortal. The Grim Grinning Grog is sort of a rum-based cocktail, whereas the non-alcoholic, the Foolish Mortal, is more of a mixture of juices. It's got pineapple juice, orange juice, grenadine, mango, just all the juices you can think of.
All that vitamin C.
That's right. It's going to keep you real healthy.
I prefer the rum.
So I'm excited about this. In fact, I love that bar. It's one of my favorite places to go. I have 3 of the collectible mugs. But confusing to me is that the Hatbox Ghost is not featured in Disney World itself. It's more of a Disneyland character. Is that correct?
That's right, and a relatively recent addition to their Haunted Mansion in Disneyland, despite the fact that it was originally supposed to be in the Haunted Mansion when it opened, or it was for a very limited time, and then the animatronic was removed, and it kind of became an urban legend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people were trying to find the Hatbox Ghost,
Yeah.
and there was a very kind of blurry picture of the Hatbox Ghost. And then several years ago, Disneyland recreated the Hatbox Ghost and included it in their Haunted Mansion.
And ever since then, they've used him a lot in promotions throughout the parks, but he's never actually been a character in Walt Disney World, yet he is a collectible mug in a Walt Disney World restaurant.
It's very confusing. Why Walt Disney World and not Disneyland?
Does Disneyland have a Trader Sam's bar?
They have the original Trader Sam's bar.
Oh, I didn't know that. I, for some reason, thought that Disney World was the only one.
It's part of the complex that the Disneyland Hotel sits on in downtown Disney, or in that section of downtown Disney.
Okay, so is the Hatbox mug at Disneyland as well, then?
You know what? I'm out there right now. I'm going to do some research.
Report back.
I will.
So I said this is a limited time release, so when they are gone, they're gone, and you can only buy 1 per person per visit.
Let's face it, they're probably already gone.
They've ghosted.
Patrick, I've got a hot rumor for you.
Rumor has it.
Now listen, must we Adele every time?
We must.
There are other songs that have rumor in it.
Not according to me.
I heard a rumor. Bananarama?
Nope, that doesn't exist. When Adele exists, nothing else exists.
The internet is abuzz with word that Spaceship Earth in Epcot at Walt Disney World might be closing for over 2 years for a massive overhaul.
I have the shakes already.
It's exciting.
It's exciting, but I love that ride so much, I will miss it.
It will be a major loss, but let's face it, the last third of that ride needs some major updating.
That's fair, although if someone removes Foxy Brown from that ride, I will throw a fit.
I think there's many people out there who know who we're talking about. She's in the computer room, and she's Fly.
She's fantastic.
Spaceship Earth opened in 1982 and has received massive overhauls 3 times since its opening. The overhauls usually occur during the departure or addition of a corporate sponsor. So Siemens just ended their sponsorship.
I hate when I run out of Siemens.
Sources, we have no idea who these sources are, by the way. Sources, I'm doing air quotes. You can't see it because we're a podcast, but I'm doing air quotes.
Imagine.
Sources are saying that Disney will be refreshing all of the scenes leading up to the Industrial Revolution scene, which is when you see that little kid going, extra, extra, with his papers.
The upside-down paper, in fact.
And he's facing the wall for some reason. But major changes will be coming to every scene following that.
It makes sense because we have now technologically surpassed where Spaceship Earth actually lands us at the end of the ride, right?
It's true. We kind of end up in Steve Jobs / Steve Wozniak's garage, and then we're out in space. Sources, again, I'm doing air quotes, sources.
The Sources family.
That's right, claim that the scene in the dome will be completely reimagined using projection mapping, which is, of course, what you see on the castle. So it could be an incredible experience up there.
Wow, and it sounds like if they're going to use that technology, they can probably update it a lot quicker when they have to make these updates, right?
That's an excellent point. The Project Tomorrow post-show area, which is what you experience after you get off the ride, has already seen some minor updates, including new signage and lighting, so that's leading people to believe that a larger overhaul is in the works.
Again, this is all rumor right now, is that right?
This is rumor. This is conjecture. We have no idea.
So who can say? Who can say?
Someone on the internet said something,
yeah,
and people went a little crazy. I went a little crazy because I want it to happen.
Yeah, it would be fascinating. I wonder if they're maybe going to try to tie it in with the 40th anniversary of Epcot.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
Thank you.
But it would be odd to me to not have Spaceship Earth open for the 50th of Walt Disney World.
Yeah, it would be missing, I feel like, from that celebration. Here's a question for you. Who's the new narrator?
That's a great question, Patrick.
Do you know who I'm going with?
Who?
Adele.
Oh, of course. Of course you would go with Adele.
Or Dakota Fanning.
I feel like Adele would be too cheeky, though. She'd be like, "Oi!"
I like that Adele has a Cockney accent for you.
She'd be like, "Me bloomers all twisting up me knickers."
Do you know what she'd say? She'd say, "Rumor has it, in the 1950s, racism was terrible."
Everything would be like a pun with her. It'd be a reference to one of her songs. But you know who wasn't chasing pavements? Steve Wozniak. He was in his garage. He was in his garage.
Man created fire, and he set fire to the rain. So we've established it's going to be Adele.
I think it's going to be Adele. And if we have any listeners in the UK, we sincerely apologize for our terrible, terrible accents. We clearly love you because Patrick brings up Adele every podcast.
I love you, Adele. Before we dive into our interview with Janice, a former Disney cast member, we want to give a fair Disney spoiler alert to all you listening right now.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Disney spoiler alert.
That's right. We're going to go behind the magic a little bit. We're going to talk about some backstage encounters with characters and other Disney cast members. We want to make sure that we aren't ruining the magic for any kids listening in right now.
That's right. So it's your call, parents. There's nothing scandalous you're going to be hearing. There's nothing ribald. There's nothing debaucherous.
Exactly. We just wanted to give you fair warning that we are going behind the magic a little bit with our interview with Janice. Adam...
Patrick.
It's the moment we've been waiting for.
I'm really excited.
Our very first guest. Janice is with us. Janice from Disney. Janice.
Oh, hi, guys.
Hi, Janice. Oh, that was really good in sync. I guess not from Disney. You weren't born in Disney,
I was
Janice.
not. I certainly was not.
First question, do you wish you were?
No.
Okay. Oh.
I do not.
Oh.
I'm actually
Interesting.
very proud to be born in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Oh.
So
Well done.
here I am.
She's a local.
She is. Not Minneapolis, but it is St. Paul, so that's good enough.
Just the other side of the river.
Not good enough.
They're both great. So, Janice, we brought you here to talk to us a little bit about your experience working in Walt Disney World. First of all, we'd like to get a little bit of a Diz-tory from our guests, if you will, a little Disney history of how you came into the Disney universe. Like, what was your background? Did you grow up watching movies? All that fun stuff.
Great question. So I grew up obviously watching all the Disney movies.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite? What's your favorite?
I don't have a favorite. As a child, however, I used to love to pretend I was Pocahontas.
Oh,
Sure.
My parents had an apple tree
Yeah.
that I used to sit in and climb up and let the wind go through my hair and sing Colors of the Wind.
It was your grandmother Willow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I talked to that tree a lot.
Wow. You didn't have a lot of friends then. Maybe?
Awkward silence for the podcast, yes.
Janice has many friends now,
She
ladies
does.
and gentlemen.
She's learned.
That's true. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I always wanted to be in a Disney movie. I always wanted to live that life. My family owned like 5 of the VHSs, and I was obsessed with going. My parents never took me. Fall of 2009, my sister had moved to Tallahassee to go to Florida State to attend graduate school, and I used that as a pretense for my other siblings and I to take a trip to Florida, and with it, I said, we're going to Disney. We're leaving my parents at home.
That's great. You're like, congratulations, sister. We're going to Disney as well.
Precisely.
Great.
Precisely. She chose not to join us, which is A-okay. So the first time I ever went, it was one day only. We went to Magic Kingdom and had the time of our lives. Then, sort of fast forward, I wasn't happy with where I was at in college. And that's sort of when I found out about the Disney College program, which to me was fascinating. You got to spend a semester working for Disney. Disney offers classes that you can take, sort of about leadership, about theater. My background is stage management and design, so it was really fascinating to think, how does Disney do all these really intricate things at the park?
And how did you find out about the college program? Was it like a brochure or a pamphlet, or did you have a friend that went?
I was looking online for different internships to see how I could spend sort of one semester. I already had planned on spending one semester abroad, but then I wanted to spend a different semester not at Beloit College. I just wanted to break, and I sort of stumbled upon it when reading about different blogs about Disney after having been obsessed with the one day I got to go there.
Oh, I love that.
And so up until this point, you'd only been to Magic Kingdom for one day.
Correct. I didn't go to any of the other parks.
Wow.
And you got mouse fever from that one
I
day
did.
in the parks.
I most certainly did. And I remember the day that I got they have you go through 2 different interviews. They're over the phone, and then I got the letter in the mail, and it was this big folder, and it was like, you're earning your ears. And I'd walked around Beloit College campus shouting, I'm going to Disney, I'm going to Disney.
To work.
And everyone knew that, like, I was unhappy at the time. So there I was, beaming with pride and joy, being like, I'm leaving, goodbye. So junior year, I was gone for the whole year. I was working for Disney for 5 months, and then I went to Europe for another 6 months.
But Disney was better, I imagine.
Disney was better. I called it my year of adventure when I
I
set
like that.
off.
Do you remember any of the questions or essays you had to write to get into the Disney College program?
I do. I specifically talked about my theater background, and they really wanted to know what about Disney had very specifically interested me and why I wanted to do this.
Were there any questions like, which park would you be interested in working in, or anything like that? Or was it more kind of
They
like
did.
broad questioning?
So they asked several questions like that. They wanted to know sort of what department you wanted to be in. If you wanted to be sort of a charactered costume, you had to go to auditions in advance, and they only had those in Chicago, in New York, LA, and then I believe in Orlando as well.
Sure.
I was not a charactered costume. However, my roommate, Hillary, was.
Oh,
She-
fun.
She was friends, as they like to say in Disney in quotes. She was friends with Eeyore and Pluto.
Oh.
And that's how you know that you are one of the characters.
Those are 2 great friends.
They are. I don't get it. So she was just friends with them. So she just like hung out with them all day? Is that what happened?
All
That's
day
exactly
long.
what it
That
means.
was
Oh,
precisely what she did.
okay.
But they had asked, well, one, in the Disney College program, you can do it either in Disneyland, California, or in Florida.
So talk to us about starting off in the college program. What was that like? Was there orientation? You got to meet your roommate. Where did you live? How did that all work out?
My sister had actually spent the summer at home, so she and I drove. We did the long drive all the way from Minnesota, all the way down to Tallahassee, and then she drove me from Tallahassee to Orlando. The day you get there, they sort of tell you what housing you're going to be in. There are at the time, there were only 3 different complexes that in the Disney College program you could live in. I lived in Vista Way, which was the cheapest. I chose to live in the cheapest of all housing. There were 6 people living in the unit, and there were 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, which becomes a lot of people.
Yeah.
I was the first one in the unit, so I was able to take the nicest room.
Good for you.
And they had already told me who my roommate was going to be, so I'd already connected with her
Oh, that's smart.
via Facebook, even though we didn't know what room we got until we got there that day.
So it's kind of like going to college, really, right? Where you know
It's
your
very
dorm mates
similar
ahead
to
of
going to
time.
college. The Disney complex is nice. I clearly lived in the cheapest of them. There was one day where I was taking a shower and a roach came out of my shower,
No.
which was terrifying.
Oh, dear.
Did he sing a song, though? Was it Jiminy Cricket?
I wished.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he was not. So you move into this housing complex, and there are 2 pools on either side. There are tons and tons of people living there. And they separate you by 21 plus and not 21
Oh.
in the housing. I was 20 at the time, so I was in the non. They're very strict about what you can and cannot do on Disney property. So
Sure.
you're not even allowed in unless you work for Disney and are part of the college program. You have to show them your badge.
So you can't be a visitor from outside of
So
being an employee or
I tried to show my family where I lived. They came, and they were not allowed in.
Wow.
They were denied entry.
I imagine that makes you feel a little bit safe, though, while you're there.
It does, and a little trapped.
Sure.
A little homesick,
A little
maybe.
gated community in
Sure.
Florida is a very
Sure.
strange interaction.
Just you and the
So-
roaches.
Exactly. So once you're there, sort of your first day, they tell you where you're going to live. They tell you how much of your paycheck they're deducting for your housing.
Oh.
And then they also tell you what day you start orientation. So I had 3 days to just sort of hang out and do nothing because I had no idea to get me into the parks or really do anything. I spent a lot of time at the pool. But then I got to start my first day of orientation. So you go to casting where they tell you sort of what park you're going to be at and then what your job is. So they have you go in a line and it feels very like you're just a number. And I got there and my sheet of paper just said Main Street Operations. And I had no idea what that meant. My roommates all had like Epcot, food services, Animal Kingdom, food services.
Pretty specific.
Animal Kingdom rides. Like it was very clear cut as to what they were going to be doing. I had no idea what Main Street Operations meant.
So, if I may pause, prior to this, you had no idea what you were actually going to be doing. You got into the program, they said, come on down, you did, and then when you're there, you find out your job.
They have you double check all these HR requirements. At the time, you weren't allowed to have a beard at Disney, which didn't affect me, but for any men, they had to make sure to get rid of that. If you have any visual tattoos that you could see that your costume wouldn't hide, they ask you that. You're not allowed to wear any colored glasses of any sort or any different sorts of jewelry because it distracts from the action.
So they want everyone to be neutral while they're there.
Correct. So I had to send them a photo of my glasses at the time, which were just a tortoise shell, but I wanted to make sure that was neutral enough because otherwise I quickly wanted to go buy a new pair of glasses. So
Wow.
I could start my trip off right. And they were like, yep, your glasses look great. Your earrings are not acceptable though.
Wow.
So you're allowed to wear Disney-themed jewelry as long as it's studs or posts, but you are not allowed to wear bright, long, dangly things of any sort. And if you're male, you're not allowed to wear any jewelry.
Oh, so the earrings I have on tonight would be not acceptable?
Your long, dangly feather earrings are not allowed.
What about my hoops?
Not allowed,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Good to know. That makes a lot of sense, though, because I feel like when I am in the Disney parks, I can immediately spot a cast member because they all kind of look really similar and neutral and welcoming and friendly, and I'm not thrown off by anything. I just know what to expect while I'm there.
So it was fascinating. I worked with someone who had gauged his ears,
Yeah.
which if you know what that is, it's you're just...
Expanding your earlobes, putting holes in your earlobes?
Exactly. And he glued his ears together every night he worked. So that way it wouldn't be seen that he had gauged them.
That's some Disney love.
That is
It was insane.
dedication.
So yeah, after casting, then I found out the next thing was going to be the day that I had Disney University. So Disney University is you go and you wear business casual. So everyone's there and you're dressed up in business casual, and then they take you to whatever park you're going to be at. So for me, I was at Magic Kingdom, so then they tell you the core Disney values of the company. They tell you the history of Walt, the history of Disney, what it means to be a leader in Disney.
Are you in a classroom setting in this
You are in
situation?
a classroom setting
Okay.
with about 50 other people. Then they take you from Disney University to the park. They give you a backstage tour.
So for those who don't know, backstage means anything that you're not seeing as a guest in the park means you're backstage as an employee. Is that correct?
That is correct. Disney World is built up. Florida's a bit of a swamp. So all of Disney, what you're seeing is really the second floor. So there's a whole bunch of people below you. So they have a cafeteria called the Mouseketeria.
Of course it's called that.
They have costuming down there where you get it's where all the charactered costumes get their wardrobes at. And then you also get to ride 2 rides that no one else gets to ride. So they stop the ride to the general public, and you and everyone in your group gets to go. So the 2 rides that we got to go on were Haunted Mansion, and then we got to go on Buzz Lightyear's
Space Ranger
Spin.
I just gasped when she said they stopped the public and you get to go on a ride.
So if you've ever been at Disney and suddenly have seen a bunch of people wearing business casual walking around the parks and thought to yourself, what are they doing here? It's a new orientation class for Disney University.
And sometimes if you're ever in line for a ride and they're like, we're stopped operations for a little bit, it could be you cast members are riding the ride by yourselves.
Correct.
I love that.
Amazing, because sometimes they also show you the rides with the lights on.
Ooh.
So we got to see part of Haunted Mansion with the lights on.
Oh.
So they could just give us more information as to how the Disney magic is happening. Sort of our orientation leader stopped, walked, and then told us about a few different key things about it. The reason why they have you ride the rides is if you've never been to the parks before, they want you to get to know at least 2 of them, and those 2 are easy because they're just conveyor belts. So that way you can just keep loading people sort of on and off, and it's not a roller coaster of sorts where they have to stop and start it.
Adam, I imagine if you had a handful of wishes, one of them would be to ride the Haunted Mansion with the lights on.
You know, I'm conflicted because I love knowing the backstage secrets, but I also want to keep the magic alive. So like I'm like half and half.
That's fair. Your willpower is strong.
Completely understandable. So yeah, so they have you go through the park, and then they have you go back to sort of Disney University itself, where then they keep training you. Then they sort of set you up with your actual trainer, and that's where you go and you get your uniform. So my job for Main Street operations, it was really twofold. One was ticketing in the front, back when they had turnstiles, and people used to have to put their ticket in and then their finger on the machine, if you guys remember that.
Yep.
And people always thought Disney was trying to get people's fingerprints. They're not. I had to explain this a million times a day to guess.
What is that doing specifically for Disney?
All that it is doing is making sure that Adam here isn't using his ticket, having Patrick meet him on the other side, and then saying, here, Patrick, you can use this ticket too, and you can re-enter if it's like a park hopper ticket. Because the ticket will get you re-entry throughout the day. You can come and go as you please throughout the parks. But the thing is, it's your one identifying thing. So sometimes people will just put down a bunch of fingers, which is totally fine. It's just trying to get to know some semblance of, hey, I'm using this, or my finger looks like this. It doesn't even have to be a finger. Sometimes people would use their elbow if they felt really uncomfortable with Disney wanting to know their fingerprints.
Any other appendages, or just...
Nope. It's a family place.
Okay.
So it's basically just a signature.
Correct. Exactly.
That's cool.
So there's not like a clone of me wandering around another Disney park?
No. There could be.
It's a 23 and Disney situation.
At the turnstiles, you're also that person that has the button bag that hands out buttons to people that say, celebrate today, just engaged, happy birthday. That was one of my favorite things. They also give you rolls of stickers to hand out to people. So if you ever run into one of the college program kids, they're going to hand you a lot of stickers because they're excited about it. Also, you're giving people water breaks because it's hot and it's Florida and you're out in the sun. And a lot of retired folks also come to work for Disney because they get great deals on getting to take their grandkids. And so a lot of people will come for like a solid month, work, and then go back to their normal lives. So turnstiles, ticketing. The other job was PAC, so parade audience control, which was my favorite job. So that was setting up the parades and then taking them down. You also get to spend an hour before the parades just playing with children and adults because people are waiting for so long.
I love that. Those people are saviors, especially with little kids, because little kids get so anxious and they get so frustrated having to sit there and hold their spot. So saviors.
So they give you all kinds of fun things. They have hula hoops, they have jump rope. Scotch tape was always my favorite. I used to do hopscotch. There's nothing more satisfying than putting scotch tape down on the streets of Maine. Also, if you were doing jump rope, a lot of times Daisy often hangs out in the Main Street Square, so she would sometimes jump rope with kids.
In heels?
Yes.
Oh.
It was.
She's amazing.
They have little cards that if you're ever fortunate enough to get that say I jumped rope with a character at Magic Kingdom.
I didn't know those existed.
I have hundreds of them.
Wow.
I just took them. Similar to the stickers, I have pockets full of them.
Oh my.
So for the parades, it's also setting up. So you set up the ropes. There are different stanchions that go in that look different based on what land you're in. Typically, the parade of Magic Kingdom is going to start at Main Street, right next to the City Hall and the fire station. And then it's going to end over in Frontierland next to Big Splash Mountain.
So give me a hot D tip, won't you? If I'm a guest in the park, where's the best place to watch the parade?
On Main Street.
Just right down the main strip of Main Street.
That is where I would watch it, always. Otherwise, sometimes, like the Main Street Electrical Parade, I would always like to watch next to the castle, but that's because I like the castle as a backdrop. The Main Street Electrical Parade also no longer exists.
R.I.P.
But also, sometimes you could get VIP seating. So if you're ever on that bridge between the castle right into Liberty Square, those benches are very specifically VIP seating.
Oh.
Where Disney can make a magical moment for a family. Also, if you're a celebrity, that's where you will sit.
Oh, good to know.
So another fun fact about the parades. So there are stanchions that sort of fit for the different areas. So on Main Street, the stanchions are white. They're sort of heavier and they sort of fit in more old-timey. But if you've ever noticed this, there are these strange little circles that are gold with a hole in it all over Magic Kingdom or along the parade route. And what they do, the only way that you can take them out is with tape or with a pen cap. So Disney will give its cast members hundreds of pens. So you can take the pen cap, jab it in there, and take out these holes. But then you have to quickly fill it with a stanchion because you never want someone with a cane to accidentally fall in. So someone's job during the parade is to take out the stanchions and put it into this cart. And then someone's job is right behind them to have had their pants full of these stanchions, and their job is to plug the holes back in as the parade route is going, and people are just following the parade. It's someone else's job to be rolling up the ropes very quickly. So in Frontierland, they have actual, like a gadget of sorts that will wind up the rope. That someone's job is specifically ropes.
When you're talking about that, of course it happens, all these amazing like technical aspects of the parade and all things Disney happen, but as a guest, I never really see it or think about it. I just am immersed in the magic, and so what the cast members are doing is so slick and so polished. It's incredible. It's
people frantically ripping up tape that you may have seen earlier, creating walkways, and just big balls of tape just disappearing through the back of the Liberty Tree Tavern.
It really is like theatrical magic.
I'm always surprised when the tape is put down because I'm like, when did that? How?
I've never seen it happen. I've never seen it happen, and it's just always magically there.
Mm-hmm.
So for me on Main Street operations, in my costume, I was only allowed to be on Main Street, right in front of the castle, Liberty Square, and then to Frontierland. You would never see me in Tomorrowland or Fantasyland. They keep you in your costume very strict.
And that's something straight from Walt Disney, right? He sort of started that idea of you'll never see someone from one section of the Magic Kingdom in another section of the Magic Kingdom. You'll never see a cowboy from Frontierland in Tomorrowland.
Correct.
Space cowboy.
There was also some things about technology that we weren't supposed to pretend like we knew anything about, because Main Street is supposed to be set sort of...
turn of the century.
Correct. So a lot of times people would ask about things and I have to be like, I've never heard of this magic, but let me see what I can do with this iPhone you seem to be calling it.
That's very Renaissance Festival of Walt Disney World.
I love that. Along those lines, is it true that you can never say, I don't know, to a question that a guest has? It's more of a, I will find that out for you.
That is true. So in sort of the Disney University, they tell you all these tricks of the trade as to what to do.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, you can't ever point with one finger because people find it very offensive in a lot of cultures. So the Disney point is what they call it, is where you point with two fingers.
Like a flight attendant.
Yeah. I was chosen to be photographed one day. Not knowing that this was happening, of me doing the Disney point. So in like the backstage where Disney has sort of OSHA regulations and safety tips, they used my photo and a bunch of promotional materials just for different cast members to see.
Would you say that your Disney point was on point?
Yes.
Thank you for going on that journey with me, Janice.
You're a backstage celebrity.
I definitely asked HR if I could take it, and then I mailed it home to my parents so they could be proud of me.
That's super cute. And they were like, we never took her there, and now look at her. Look at our baby.
So Disney is sort of famous for creating these magical moments for their guests in the parks. Do you have any memories of a time that you created a magical moment or seen one happen?
For me, the magical moment I would often make with people is, especially around the holidays, people get a little antsy. So I remember one time making up jump rope songs right outside the castle, which is the hardest part to be working outside because that's where everyone wants to watch the parade. And people go insane because they're not there well enough in time. So I just remember jumping rope with all these children and for 2 hours creating different songs that were individual to these children's names. And I had a blast, and they all had a blast, and a lot of parents came up to me after the parade and were like, that was so much fun, thank you.
So go during the holidays, because it's like Oprah. You get a magical moment. You get a magical moment.
Do not go during the holidays.
Apparently, yeah, it's very crazy during the holidays. Lots and lots of guests.
Let me tell you an interesting story about New Year's Eve at Magic Kingdom. The crowd goes over capacity, and everyone wants to be there. And they do New Year's Eve twice. They do the fireworks twice, fun fact. But everyone waits for the first round. And there's no way to keep walkways safe anymore. And that's sort of the job of parade audience control. So I remember a friend of mine, he was from Costa Rica, and he had a Spanish accent. And this man was very racist and was like, you can't tell me what to do. And he literally flipped my friend over a fence.
Oh,
so
no.
he could get around the castle. And my friend was just trying to keep the walkways open. And people get into fights at this time of year because all they want to do is have this magical moment because they spent so much money to be there, which I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But people go out of control.
You're so highly invested, I suppose, as a guest during that time of year.
Right.
But to all you guests out there, be nice. Be nice to each other. Be kind to each other. Be kind to the cast members because they're just trying to keep you safe.
Is there kind of a drink the Kool-Aid mentality at Disney World when you're working there? Like, is it very, like, everybody's just really gung-ho and, like, pro-Disney? Or is there backstage more of, like, gotta go to work, kind of a begrudging feeling?
I think among the Disney College Programmer, the CPs is what they like to call them, there's absolutely, we've all drank the Kool-Aid, and literally and figuratively. At the end of the parades during the summer, because it was August in Orlando, it was someone's job to actually make Gatorade, and then we all got to drink it after the parades.
Yeah.
It was so hot and so sweaty that it truly felt like I was drinking the Kool-Aid, being like, I'm in it, I'm loving this, I'm making the least money I've ever made in my life, and I'm so happy to be here. But yeah, there are a lot of people that don't care about Disney, that just are working there, and you can tell that they are clocking in and clocking out. But it's the people, a lot of the CPs, just because that was who I was with, and those became my friends and sort of family at the time, that became so wonderful, and we were all so excited. And specifically the Halloween party was my group of friends' favorites, that we would be those silly cast members that you'd see at the end of the night, picking up the strollers and dancing. Like, I found some weird YouTube videos of me immediately while I was working there of different guests at the park filming me, unbeknownst to me, of just me doing weird, silly things and just being so into it.
As a guest, that is one of the best things, is watching cast members having the time of their life. Like, you want them to be having that experience. I don't want to believe that they're really hot and sweaty and uncomfortable because they're in Florida in August. You know, I want to believe that they are living their lives and enjoying every moment of working there.
That they're just as excited to be there as you are as a guest.
Yeah.
It's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that for us.
Yeah, it was probably some of the best 5 months of my life.
Did you spend time in the parks on your days off?
I was the person that would get up at 5 a.m. each Sunday to see if there were extra shifts that I could take because I needed the money. And 2, I liked working. I liked my job. I liked the fun of it. But if I wasn't working, I took a class with Disney through the college program. I took their entertainment class for theater, which was interesting. It was 1 day a week. It was a 2-hour-long class that took us backstage Disney, and we got to meet different people from the industry that specifically either created the parades or did things with ESPN for halftime shows, or all the different myriad of things that Disney does. And then 2, it was just playing in the parks. So I went to every hotel Disney had, especially during Christmas time. I saw all the gingerbread houses that they set up. I tried to swim in every pool that Disney had. I went to both water parks. I rode every ride, even if they weren't interesting to me. I rode every ride that there was because it was just so interesting to me, and I wanted to be so immersed in what I was doing. So I would try to eat every food that I could, do everything that it was so much fun to me.
You lived my best Disney life.
Other than the role that you had as a cast member there, is there another role that you kind of coveted or an area you wanted to work in?
A roommate of mine, Hillary, was friends with Pluto and Eeyore, and at first I was very envious of her. She had to learn the signatures, and things seemed really cool. She did a lot of character breakfast. Quickly, though, she started to dislike it. You only work about 20 minutes for each hour because it's so hot in Orlando and just people touching you. It becomes very emotionally exhausting. But then another roommate of mine had a really amazing job. She was one of the drivers for the Kilimanjaro Safari, and she became so knowledgeable about it. They actually drive those vehicles, and she loved it. She loved her group. But overall, I think all my roommates were mostly envious of me and my job because I was at Magic Kingdom all the time. I got to see the fireworks. I got to see the parades. I got to do all the cool things. And on my breaks, I got to just throw on a sweater and walk around the parks.
I think another great part of your role, too, was the fact that you got the chance to interact with so many different kinds of guests. Whereas, your roommate or friend who drove for the safari didn't really get to interact that much. She was just giving facts and driving the car. And your roommate, who was friends with Pluto, had very limited interaction with guests, despite it being very intense, short bursts of interaction. So you kind of had you ran the gamut of who actually was visiting Walt Disney World, and you're kind of back and forth with them. That must have been great.
So I want to know, are there any sort of secrets about the park, or maybe Magic Kingdom, or any of the parks really that you remember from when you were a cast member?
So one of my favorite things that I sort of stumbled upon was Chip and Dale's sing-along at Fort Wilderness Lodge.
Oh, yeah.
It is a free event that Chip and Dale do, so it's a free character meet and greet. You don't even have to stay at Disney property. You could just be someone that lives in Orlando and wants to have some s'mores with some characters. You get to watch a Disney movie, and it's this really lovely meet and greet. So when I did it as a cast member, there were 15 people there total. It was the perfect evening. Mm-hmm. Chip and Dale sat literally next to me during the movie. I made s'mores next to Chip and Dale. Okay, this was such a magical evening in my mind.
Yeah.
So when my fiance and I went back 2 years ago, I was like, we have to do this. They were going to play the movie Hercules, which is one of my top movies. Mm-hmm. I was like, we are going. We got there, and it was horrific. There was a blog that leaked that this is a really fun and wonderful thing to do, and sort of a must-do. And there were hundreds of people there trying to cram in to buy s'mores and meet Chip and Dale and watch this movie. So it was children screaming, everyone upset because it's dark, and then you didn't get to meet Chip and Dale.
That has to be a more and more common occurrence now with blogs and podcasts and all of the kind of information being dispersed on the internet about these kind of relatively quiet, smaller magical moments becoming these kind of madhouses because people learn about them when they didn't really know about them before. They would just kind of stumble upon them or hear about them through word of mouth.
Sure, it's like being in like a city and there's a local bar that's the hottest new thing that no one knows about, and all of a sudden the next time you go, there's thousands and thousands of people there.
I really regret us talking about peanut butter chocolate fudge at the confectionery on Main Street now.
It's going to be sold out every time you're there.
Shut your mouth.
Because thousands and thousands of people are listening to us.
One of my roommates actually worked at the confectionery, and they make thousands of pounds of that fudge daily.
Did they get sick of it, or did they just gain 1,000 pounds?
She got sick of it pretty quickly.
That's fair. That's fair. I would never get sick of it.
And candy apples.
The candy apples are so beautiful. I respect anyone who can make a candied apple.
Do you know what I just learned today? If you purchase a candy apple and you ask nicely, they'll cut it for you at the confectionery.
Oh, they'll like slice it up for you
They'll
so you don't
slice-
have to just chomp into it.
They'll slice it up for you so you can enjoy it piece by piece.
I have another random question for you. There are hidden Mickeys throughout the parks, throughout the Disney parks. These are little Mickey heads, basically, that are hidden throughout all of the parks and the mosaics and the streets. Do you have a favorite hidden Mickey?
My favorite hidden Mickey is in Haunted Mansion.
Oh.
If you look at the dinner table with all the ghosts dancing, there's one set as a dinner plate. It's a plate and then 2 bowls or glasses are right next to it. That one's probably my favorite. It was a very popular tattoo amongst college programmers that I worked with to get a hidden Mickey. I chose not to. As someone that didn't want a hidden Mickey on my body. That was a very popular second choice for hidden Mickeys.
Was that like a line? Was that like, hey, try to find my hidden Mickey?
I'll show you my hidden Mickey if you show me yours.
For the 21 plus crowd in Vista Way, absolutely.
Other than getting into the parks for free, what were some of the discounts you got as a cast member?
So during the holidays, they do a big discount for every cast member where everything is half off in regards to merchandise in the parks. So that's where I did all my Christmas shopping. They also give every every cast member a coupon book. So you can get free popcorn, you can get a free pretzel, you can get a free ice cream sandwich. It's a bunch of different things to do. I took my mother and aunt to see the Candlelight Processional with Whoopi Goldberg to be our host that evening. And then we also did a lovely dinner in Epcot as well. And that package was also half off.
If you had to give one piece of advice to a first-time guest of the Disney parks, what would that be?
Wear comfortable shoes. You are going to be doing a lot of walking.
What advice would you give someone who is planning to apply for the college program?
I think you need to have a really upbeat personality, and you just have to know full on, this is what I'm doing, and then you just dive right in. Just drink that Kool-Aid and dive right in.
Gatorade. Drink the Gatorade, as we learned.
Yeah, drink the post-parade Gatorade.
That rhymed.
Thank you.
So when you visit now, as you do, because we know you love to visit the parks, is the magic somewhat diminished for you, or are you able to put that aside, everything you saw backstage, and fully enjoy the parks as a guest?
100%. It actually makes it more magical for me, because to me, especially when I visit Magic Kingdom, it's now like a second home, because that's where I spent basically every minute of every day. So I both saw sunrises, I saw sunsets, I'd be there from 1 a.m., I'd have to get there sometimes at 5 a.m. You see all sides of the park, and that to me is just so magical. To get there at 4 a.m. and see them hosing down Main Street USA. And actually, when my fiance and I went, I thought we had cheated the system and somehow gotten in early and that the gates were down. And I was like, run, Patrick, run. We have to just go. Just go. It's fine. And it turns out we were an hour late, which is a different problem. But I was so excited. In the photos, I'm actively crying because I was so excited to be there. And I think that every cast member that you interact with, and if you're excited, they're going to get excited for you because they know what this means to be there. And that's a big part of the Disney training that they do, is they really enforce. People are spending thousands of dollars to be there to visit. You have to make sure that you are giving them the best experience that they can have. And every time I'm back at Disney, I'm having the best experience that I can have.
That speaks really highly to Disney as a company, that even as a cast member working there and being in the nitty-gritty of it, that you still want to be there in your time off, right? Like I know a lot of people who work in restaurants often don't want to eat the food there because they're just in it so much and they just don't like it anymore. But you seem to really want to be there all the time now, which is what I want to do as well. Be there all the time.
One last question. Where is Walt's frozen head?
Adam.
Patrick.
Janice.
Hi.
Janice is joining us for some Quick D.
Janice is joining us.
So for those of you who don't know, Quick D is where Adam and I, generally it's just Adam and I, ask each other a question that we have not been privy to prior to recording. And this time, Janice is going to also answer our Quick D questions. It's a first, everyone. It's a gaze, do the D first. I loved my first time.
So meaningful.
I'm going to love this first time as well.
This is our first time with a woman. I'm a little scared.
I'm a little excited. All over. So, Adam and Janice, here's some Quick D for you both. If you could have any job throughout the Disney parks, what would you want to do? What corner of the parks would you be working? What street would you be walking to get to work?
So you're saying we'd be streetwalkers?
What?
I would like to work at the Jungle Cruise.
Ooh.
Those people are a little too punny for my liking, but I like the swamp aspect of where they are working.
Mm-hmm.
Walt Disney actually wanted to work on the Jungle Cruise if he could work at any job, but because he himself had a mustache, and he created rules saying that you could have no facial hair, that Disney has recently changed within the last few years, that to me is such a historic job and such a corny job.
Uh-oh. Also, you're good at cruising, I hear, Janice.
And you love a moist environment. We've always known that about you.
It's the only way I like it.
Trader, yes, ma'am. Also, the Jungle Cruise has a lot of dad jokes, and I know you're into dads.
Who isn't?
Mm-hmm.
Who is your daddy?
You are, Janice.
She owns you now.
Adam didn't answer the question.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Adam, what about you?
If I could work anywhere in the parks, I would choose the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique in the Magic Kingdom.
Interesting. Now, I can see your bibbidi-bobbidi boos right now. So is that why?
I don't hide them.
If you've got it, flaunt it.
That's right. I like a nice glittery updo. And it doesn't need to be a special occasion, like just on a Tuesday eve. And I like heavy, heavy makeup.
You like a good teased pink hairdo.
Right. And I'm assuming if I worked there, I'd get a discount, right, Janice?
Yes, that's true.
So glitter half off, but I'd say glitter more on.
The tiara will cost you extra, though.
I'm willing to pay that price. A gloss lip, a heavy eye, several colors of eyeshadow, and glitter in my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And a tight, tight bun that in the Florida humidity will not hold up. And by the end of the day, I will look a mess.
I can see you just constantly spraying hairspray, just full. That's your entire shift. It's just one hairspray spritz.
Environment be damned. These children need amazing updos.
It's like the first scene in Steel Magnolias.
And the last, if you really think about it.
Oh, it got dark. It got dark real quick.
Sure did.
Drink your juice, Shelby.
My turn.
Yes?
My turn to ask.
Yes.
As Janice alluded to in her interview, she was a frequent visitor of several of the resorts around Walt Disney World while she worked there during her time off.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, what Disney resort are you and why?
I like to imagine myself as the Grand Floridian, but in truth, I'm a value resort. I'm a cheap value. I'm an all-star. I'm an all-star sports, maybe.
Why sports?
Well, you know, I'm super athletic.
Yep.
I'm so super athletic.
Yep.
I like a good sports game.
You like a protective cup?
I am an athletic supporter.
Yes, you are.
I like to kick around the old hoof skin. Is that what it's called?
Pigskin. Yep.
The old pig skin.
Right.
I like to toss it around.
You have a lot of different balls in the air.
I'm real good at a cheer. Here's one.
Let's hear it.
Give me a gay.
Gay.
Give me a Patrick.
Patrick.
Gay Patrick.
Now, you said you were good at a cheer?
I said I like a cheer. I like a good cheer. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Janice,
get me out of this.
I, too, have always thought of myself as a Grand Floridian. However, in actuality, I'm probably more of a beach club resort type lady.
Beach, please.
Precisely.
you do have that kind of laid-back vibe about you. That beach lifestyle. That kind of more classy Jimmy Buffett lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Whenever I talk to you, Janice, I think, what a beach. What a real beach she is.
Ooh, a good joke is the contemporary, because I like it, when you just go in and out real quick.
That's just one. That will do it for this episode of Gaze Do the D. Thanks for listening. Ratings and reviews are greatly appreciated and help people find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify, and Stitcher. Continue the conversation after the episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast, and on our website at gazedothed.com. Submit your questions or show ideas to info@gazedothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you real soon.